if you want. Do you want a little tour? All right, I've lowered my bitrate a bit. I think that should help. Let me know if the stream's back up and if I'm still dropping or something. Just let me know. I'm still here. Oh, great. Okay, good. Awesome. Seems better now? Fantastic. Well, do you want a quick run through before we start patching? We're dropping frames. Hey. Good to see you in the chat. Skate Dyke. The screen is so far away I can barely see your name, but hey, good to see you. All right, quick walkthrough of what's in the rack. Well, along the top row, I have mostly utilities. So this module is the IntelliGel noise tools. It gives me access to pink and white noise and a clock. So this is usually my master clock, analog clock with a tempo, up and down. Then I have a multiple, which lets me split signals. I always pre-patch the clock into one multiple because I know I'm going to need the clock signal to go to a lot of different places. This is a 4-channel mixer and voltage generator. So it can attenuate voltages, it can create base DC voltages to send around the system, and it can also act as a mixer to some different signals together. It's a very flexible sort of attenuator inverter voltage generator. This is my pedal interface, which right now is going to my transmitter, reverb, and delay pedal. And then I have a scope and a tuner here. Then the case is sort of split up by function a little bit. So along the bottom here, I have things that generate rhythm and melody information. So Marbles is a module that generates both of those things. It generates clock signals for me in different gate patterns and pulses, and it generates random or pseudo-random melodies that can be looped and controlled. I also have the Architect, which is an arpeggio maker with an actual scale. So I can change the notes in the scale, and you can see it changing on the little keyboard there, which notes are in the scale. And then I have the Knight's Gallop, which is a Euclidean rhythm generator. And that's going to take a steady clock in and spit out interesting signals based on that clock. So I love talking about Euclidean rhythms, so I'm just going to show you real quick. Because it's fun as hell. So a clock steady clock like that is just going at a pretty fast tempo, right? If I take that clock and put it into Knight's Gallop, it's going to generate, based on an algorithm, a different clock cycle. So out of all of those pulses, it's going to split it up and make like a more interesting pattern, like this. So I can make nice drum patterns and things with that. So that's my rhythm and melody section down here. Then on the top, I have all of my oscillators and sound sources. So I have rings, I have the Endorphins Godspeed, which is an oscillator with FM modulation built in. I have Tides, which is often used as modulation source, but it's also an oscillator in its own right. And I have the SoundHack Make Noise Telharmonic, which is like a drone organ machine. The last little module here is an octave generator, so I can send signals in here and then send them to all my voices and have control over how high or low they are. So everything controlling pitch and rhythm down here, all my sound sources up here, and then the whole other half of the case is effects. Like literally all of this is effects, except for this, which is a little mixer. I have a filter and another filter. I have the ripples. Mutable Instruments Ripples version 1 filter, which is just a really nice, really simple, juicy sounding filter with a VCA built in. So it's a self-contained filter and amplifier, which is great. And I have the QPOS, which is the big stereo monster filter that sounds amazing, that I use for a lot of my stereo stuff. This is the T-Wrex. It's a bit crusher I mentioned, the bit reduction. We'll use this one today for sure. Yeah, the little mixer here, the little 3-channel mixer for a bit of extra mixing in rack. And then clouds, granular synthesizer. We'll use this today a lot as well. Actually, I want to focus on that one today. And then the Magneto big tape delay emulator module here. If I move my little face over, that's this big boy here. So that's a quick run through. We're going to use a lot of this stuff today. But I'm just going to do one of the easiest things with these modules that sounds good, which is put rings into clouds and make some nice ambient. Rings is a very nice module, I gotta say. It's hard to go wrong. So rings, rings can be operated in stereo with a left and a right channel that alternate. I don't like using it that much because I find it doesn't actually sound that good, but I'm going to try it here because I always want to try making the stereo work. So rings is going into clouds. Right now clouds is turned all the way dry, so we're not going to hear anything. And we need to excite rings, because again, rings is a physical modeler, so it's a sound generator that needs to be struck like an object would in real life, like a drum. So let's just strike it with our steady clock. Let's don't have to get crazy. And because the clock's really fast, it's already moving quite quickly, so we can slow that down. And if you're wearing headphones, you'll be able to hear the stereo separation. That's because we're using rings in stereo. Each pulse is going, it's flipping, left, right channel, right channel, left channel, right channel every time it strikes. Let's find a nice sound on rings. I almost always end up using this mode, which is the yellow and yellow mode on rings. The sympathetic strings mode. It sounds the best to me, usually. Let's keep structure all the way down too. And then, like, one of my favorite gestures to use with rings is to, once it's been going for a while, start cranking up the structure to get more harmonic content. So from something that's pretty chill and low like this, we can then, and that moment is often quite nice when it ups the octave to the next octave. But I like it here for now at 11 o'clock. So this is like the most basic thing. There's no pitch information yet. Let's add pitch information, actually. Yeah, let's get a little melody going with marbles. Because marbles, in my opinion, is the module that maybe goes with rings the best. Let me move this over here. And it's because it generates the clock signals needed to pluck rings or strum rings, and the pitch information needed to drive it with a melody. So we're going to make sure we're in, you know, a major scale, green on marbles. We're in a major sort of algorithm. Make sure we're sending out quantized voltages. And we're going to take the clock signal. Again, this is why I keep it in a multiple, because I'm already using it twice. We're going to clock marbles. So every time there's a strum, we're going to get a new pitch coming out of the... I've slowed it down, divided by 4. So every 4 ticks of the clock, we're going to get a new pitch. And I'll take that pitch information. Is this working right now? Am I getting something working here? Oh, it's because this knob wasn't turned up. This needs to be also... when there's a clock in rings, the rate knob becomes a multiplier divider, so it was going slower. Now we're getting a 4-to-1. So this is going to sound bad to start, and we'll tune it to taste. So what I'm doing now with the marbles controls is saying with the spread knob, do I want the range of pitches to go all the way from really low notes to really high notes, or stay more in a range? And then with this bias control, I want to say how low or high that range is. And we can find maybe a nice melody. That sounds pretty good. So now I've locked that in place. And it's going to repeat that 4. I've set to 4 steps right now. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 steps. Let's go down to 4 steps. And now that's going to repeat. Marbles quantizes by default with this knob here. The knob is called steps, and if it's turned all the way counterclockwise, so it's all the way to the left, then it's going to be completely unquantized smooth voltage. And if it's turned past 12 o'clock, it's going to start quantizing to a chromatic scale, and then a major scale, and then only fifths and octaves, and then only octaves. So it carves away and quantizes for you, which is why it's so powerful. I don't have a quantizer in this case at all, because I have the Architect, which is quantized on its own, and I have Marbles, which is quantized on its own. Sometimes I miss having a quantizer, but between these two modules, all my melodies are sorted. So this sounds kind of good. It's kind of static, but it's like chill. And now we can work on clouds over here. So clouds, move the mic a bit. So clouds is a granular synthesizer, which means it takes the audio coming in, and this is a meter here to see how, this is a VU meter to see how hot the audio is coming in. And it takes slices of it. So if I go all the way dry, we hear nothing. And by turning the density knob, I can add or remove slices, grains of that, and the sound will start coming back. So I'm blended all the way wet right now, no dry signal coming through, and I'm going to add some grains. And the more I add, Oh, my feedback is really high. And I'll turn the reverb up as well. So we're all the way wet. Signal kind of sounds the same. Let's back off the grains. And these two controls help me shape the texture of those grains and like the shape of them. So they can be bigger or smaller, and they can be softer or sharper. So really small and sharp sounds like that. And if it's large grains and smoothed out, so when I blend these two together, the position knob lets me set a delay, basically. And with some reverb, at 50-50 wet and dry, we get this great kind of like smearing. Hey, I mean, that's not bad. Find the exact right sort of mix of controls to give us a wash where the individual dry signal notes disappear and it kind of all smooths together. That's what I'm looking for. And we can modulate these parameters, right? So I think I should start doing that at this point. Oh my god, hey Cece. It is kind of like Mary Had a Little Lamb, actually. But it's a little out of tune, maybe. I don't know. Let's let in some new pitch information. Let's just see if we can just remix this a little bit. And add some modulation to make it move and breathe a little bit more. So there's 3 outputs on rings here. Hey, babe. And I'm using one for pitch information, but they all are spitting out different values. I'm actually going to use some of those modulation sources, some of those voltages, not as pitch, but as modulation on the various parameters at work here. So one of the ones next to, like another one of these pitches, I'm actually going to use to change the attack brightness of rings, so the sharpness of the sound coming in to the effect. And then another one I might use on clouds to adjust the texture. I don't know if that's going to do a lot, but we'll see. So it kind of like breathes a little bit more. And this would be like a nice bed for one voice. And we can build on this, I think. So that change is what happened when I turned the structure up to 1 o'clock from 11 o'clock. So that's a good gesture to remember for a performance of this patch. Let's keep it down here for now. What do I want to do next? We were going to use T-Wrex, so let's make a second voice, like a bass maybe, and use the T-Wrex with that. So here's where we use the keyboard maybe. Or you know what? Let's use the Architect. Roar T-Wrex. Yeah, the parameters on T-Wrex are called Crunch and Stomp, which is very adorable. It's very good, very funny to me. So for the bass, let's use endorphins with Architect. So let's take the endorphins oscillator, put it through our filter because I want it to sound good. Through the low pass filter, I guess I'll use a small cable for that. And into T-Wrex. Where did my small cable go? Out of T-Wrex into the mixer. So there's our kind of bass sound. Let's cut that for a sec. All Right Devices makes adorable modules. I haven't heard of that one before. They have a new one out? They have a new module? A filter? Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, so this is my bass tone. I'm going to crank it extra loud just so we can really hear it. It's just a sine wave right now, so let's make it more interesting with the wave folder. I'll definitely take a look at that link later, thank you. Now, pitch information, we want to come from the Architect and create like a nice arpeggio for like a rolling up and down bass line. Welcome. Dan Kushner, welcome to the stream. We're building a bass voice right now. So I want pitch to come from the Architect. The Architect needs to be clocked. The Architect needs to be clocked in order to run its arpeggiator. So we're going to take actually. Let's take the slowed down clock from Marbles, the 4 times speed, or 4 times slower clock, and clock Architect with that. Oh, what am I doing? That's not correct. Step input. And now you can see that we're running up and down our or we're going up our arpeggio in time with the clock, which rules. And we have to hear what this sounds like, so we're going to send the pitch information from that arpeggio into our oscillator. And you know what? Just for ease of tuning, I'm going to clock it from the main clock, which is faster. Now we're going to match our two voices together. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. And this is really like a process of finding something that sounds good. Because we didn't tune rings beforehand, I have no idea what it's tuned at, so we have to just find something. The first two notes sound good, I just don't like that high note. That's too simple. Also too simple. That might work when slowed down. Ah, not that note though. Actually, yeah. Once we tame the voice a little bit. That's flat. That fourth note is flat, so we have to adjust our note selection so that we're not using that fourth note, but the first three are good. Just to show you what I mean here. It's the fourth note here. That one that sounds bad, so we're going to get rid of it by adjusting our notes knob here. I think that fixed it. Now we're going one semitone higher. Nope, not quite. Come on. This is the finicky part of modular. Where I want it to work exactly how I want and not how it actually works. I think that's good. I kind of like that. What happens if we bring the root back in? Nope, don't like that. I can also change the rhythm that the arpeggio plays to give it more variety, which I think is, or not more variety, to spread out the notes and not, so it's not just every clock tick even. So we get new harmonies every time, because the pattern of Marble's pitch information and the pattern of Architect's pitch information, the two melodies, the bass line and the lead kind of drone ambient thing, are phasing with one another. They're both clocked by the same clock, but they have different patterns, and they're phasing. And they don't always sound good, I'm just noticing right now. Sometimes they phase together in dissonant ways, but overall this is looking pretty good. Happy with it, maybe. But this is pretty. No, that fourth note's not great. Let's just give me a different. I want those three notes and not the fourth note. You know, I could reset this and ignore that note, but let's just try and find us something different. Yeah, this three-note sequence is what we're going with. Which just means it's going to phase even more because there aren't four notes in a 4/4 sort of time signature. It's just going to be kind of all over the place, which I like. All right, great. So now the Bitcrusher. There's two circuits in the T-Wrex. There's a crunch, which is a Bitcrusher, and a stomp, which is like a bit reduction. There's slightly different effects. One is great for this kind of fuzziness, and one's really great for a kind of ring mod sort of sound. Keep it pretty subtle, like a fuzzy bass sort of vibe. And modulation. Okay, so let's modulate that filter cutoff for sure. Let's take the random output of marbles, attenuate it so that it's not so strong, and adjust the filter frequency with that. That may still be too strong of a modulation. I actually did a whole video on the T-Wrex. It's on my YouTube channel. If you're interested, let me get a link real quick and I'll paste it in the chat. YouTube. I mean, I am Autotectonic on YouTube, so that's how you can find me there. And I did a whole video on the T-Wrex Eurorack module. Typey. Yeah. Copy link. Paste link. Boom, look at that cross-promotion magic. Cross-channel synergy. Hell yeah. So we have this, like, gross bass, which I love, actually. Droning on underneath our bed here, which is getting a little stale. The upper layer here is getting a little stale to me, so maybe we can do some more with clouds. Let's cut the bass for a sec. So what I've just done is frozen the buffer in clouds, and it's saved the last snippet of audio coming in from rings into its buffer. And this is why I really love clouds, is that I can actually mix rings with whatever's frozen in the buffer and then modify that buffer. So we get kind of a second voice. So this is, I think, what I needed to. So let's make this sound good, and then we'll mix rings back in. It almost sounds like strings, which is like really cool because it comes from like a rings, string modulation or a string emulated sample, but the grains actually also add a string-like effect, which is kind of cool. So let's mix rings back in. Just the feedback too. Maybe I'll try rhythmically triggering the freeze to get that kind of, oh wow, sorry, feedback. Too much feedback. I mean, that's cool if we want a less chill stream. I would definitely make some gnarly feedback, but not today. So we can trigger the freeze input with any kind of rhythmic clock signal we want. So let's take a big cable and go from rings all the way over here where we're generating like random clock signals and stuff. And take one of those random clock signals and put it into the freeze of rings, or of clouds, and see what it sounds like. That's a little too frequent, maybe. There, yeah, you can see it now flash on and off whenever that clock randomly hits. And it's going to give us a little bit of consistency when it holds for a long time. The feedback on clouds is really, really touchy as well, so I'm always going to be adjusting that. Let's get the bass back. I want different modulation for that filter cutoff. Something more predictable, like the output of tides. Take a slower one. So now it's gonna breathe a little bit. Oh yeah, we're vibing in the chill zone right now. Third voice. Now we have to get creative. because I don't really want to use the Telharmonic because it's going to be a bitch to tune, but maybe we can try it really quick. I want to make something textural now. Hell yeah, welcome. Welcome and enjoy the chill zone. I want to make something textural. I don't exactly know how we're going to do that with the Telharmonic and have it be tuned nicely. Thank you. Yeah, that's something I really love about, well, for people in the chat, your favorite skate dyke. Yeah, your favorite thing is in these streams is that it sort of gradually comes together. That's why I love doing the live patching and why I love, like, this as an instrument, is that it's very procedural, and I can kind of just have music grow in my head for like an hour or two and patch, and it's like satisfying the whole way through. Thank you. So let's take the Telharmonic, one of its outputs, shorter cable. I need more pink cables in here. There we go. Let's put that through the QPOS, which is going to go the filter. We're just going to go through the Magneto delay, which is all dry right now, no wet signal. And then from there, it's going to go out to my mixer. And then we'll throw that voice together. So we need cables left and right. No idea what this is going to sound like. It's probably going to be rough. Let's figure it out. Yeah, it sounds like shit. Okay. Let's try and tune this to something that sounds good. Now, this is like a chord making module, and I might want to try and set it to not do that. Or maybe use the noise output and make something like really textural with noise, white noise and complex noise instead of pitch. Or instead of pitch in an oscillator way. Like this is pitched noise, but it's harder to ignore than it's out of tune, or easier to ignore than it's out of tune. I can work with this. Oh yeah. I'll take one of my favorite techniques now, which is taking pink noise and exciting one of the inputs on QPOS with it to get this incredible ASMR crunchy stereo goodness. It's just like, it's all over all of my albums because it's such a great effect. Just taking the stages here, and I'm making a series of unsynced LFOs, sine waves, cycling at different frequencies to pan back and forth the stereo filter of the QPOS. To just give it as much three-dimensionality as possible. So it's going to sound like this. something else I think about what you mentioned, Skate Dyke. The evolving nature of this. It's like, I would never cut the audio from this, 90-minute stream and put it out as a piece of music, but it is something that's sitting here in the moment I'm really enjoying. And like the idea of ambient music way back at the beginning with like Brian Eno, furniture music, the idea of furniture music and like music that's supposed to just play in a room and be as unobtrusive and subtle as furniture in that room. I think about that a lot when I make ambient music, not so much the harsher stuff that I make, because I want to be able to listen to this for hours and build it and change it and like figure out how it works. Maybe I cut a track out of it, but it kind of just does its own thing, and I think that's really cool. This is sounding great to me right now. The filter especially, it's sounding great. Let's bring in the delay and work with the delay. The delay also has a lot of reverb on it, so with no reverb, we're getting really nice textures. And then turn the reverb back up, and we get that whooshing wind sort of sound, which is just amazing to me. So let's turn up the wet signal on the delay and start cranking up our delay. Just in triplet mode right now, or nothing. It's the delay's unclocked. I should clock it, just for consistency, I suppose. So I'll clock it from our main clock source, like everything else, and then set it down to halftime. Thank you. Sorry about that. I'll lower the volume again. Mixing in Streamlabs OBS and mixing for mixing modular is hard. Mixing hardware in general is hard. Mixing for Streamlabs OBS, really hard. Hey Blackpool One, welcome. I'm just complaining about not having a good mixing board built into my streaming software. I gotta figure that out. I gotta get better at that. But you should be able to hear me a lot better now. Anyway, yes. The filter. What was I doing? I sound good? Thank you. Alright, I just upped it again. What were we just working on? I set LFOs to this. Oh yeah, we were playing with the delay. So let's start turning up some of the delay. Thank you, Blackpool One. Thank you. Is there anything you want to investigate specifically as we kind of wrap up this patch? I have Magneto set to shift mode, which is going to be like pitch shifting, so this should be really interesting. We can bring in higher and lower tones. Oh yeah, Surround Magneto is such a good tool for me. This is the kind of texture I was looking for, so I think everything is now coming together. I think... Oh yeah, it's behind me. Sorry about that. So what I've done here, I'm in shift mode, and I have the higher octaves shifted quite high, or up quite high in volume, and it's giving us this windy sort of texture, which is lovely, I think. I'm kind of going to just mix these a little bit better together and play it a little bit, and then we're going to call it there for the stream. But if you have any questions, this would be the time for like a fun Q&A or like explain how something works or how we got here. I'm just going to try and mix these voices a bit better and dial in all the specifics. But I'm watching the chat, so yeah. Hey, good to meet you too, Blackpool1. Yeah, I stream every Saturday. Though, for viewers who are here, I will be tweeting this next week as well, but I am not streaming next Saturday. I'm out of town, I'm taking a vacation, I'm going to the country where there are no people. So no stream next weekend, but I stream every Saturday evening Eastern Time, Saturday night Eastern Time, other than that. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'm just gonna fine tune this patch a little bit, and we'll just vibe out and chill out a bit. Thank you very much. It's not much of a vacation. Oh, cool. Thanks, Blackpool1. Hell yeah. Not much of a vacation, more like just a weekend out of town, but yeah, it counts as a vacation, so thank you. Let's see here. I'm gonna mix this together. I think this is all loud. Great to meet you too, Blackpool. There's a lot of us out there. Definitely. I can definitely point you in the direction of some other gals who do modular. There's a bunch of us. I'll definitely let you know. Thanks for that link. Hell yeah. I mean, if you don't know Naomi Mitchell, you should look up Omi Industries on Twitter. She builds and sells modules and also plays modular music. Shout out to Naomi. Alright everyone, I think I'm going to call it here because these lights are getting really hot. I'm just going to play us out for a bit. Thank you all for joining. It was great to see you. Very lively discussion in the chat today, which is awesome for me. I will see you week after next week back here for more live patching. Oh, yeah, go for it. Quick question. Yeah. Drop me that quick question. Oh, sorry about the delay. I hope you didn't leave yet. Yes. Yes, I am planning on releasing physical media and merch on my Bandcamp. Over here, out of view, I have a tape duplicator and a 4-track tape deck. And I will be, recording my next album, my next EP, to tape, and I'll be making tapes. So I'll be making tapes myself and putting tapes up for sale on Bandcamp for sure. I think sooner than that, because the album's not going to be for a little while. It's not going to come out yet. I'm going to have merch on the store. Like t-shirts or something. But yes, there will be cassettes in the future. Vinyl, I doubt it unless it's a label situation where part of if it's like a small label that, like Modular Field or something, they make records. I definitely won't be doing vinyl on my own, but cassettes, absolutely. Hell yeah. I'm excited too. Alright. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you week after next.